During the last few videos, we talked about um, a model for a bathtub. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a model with that you'll see is somewhat different. We're going to talk about a savings account. So we'll start and we'll say that this is the bank account, or call it savings account. And just to make it look good, we'll go ahead and say, we'll go look for a bank. Here's one. Open a new tab, copy the URL, and go back and put this on the displayed image, and then tell it to move the label to the bottom, and then we'll resize it a little bit so that, okay, so this is the money that's in the savings account, and it will start with some initial amount of money, but let's go ahead and use a slider to define that, and we'll say that the slider varies anywhere from 0 to $1,000. That's the amount of money that's in the bank when we open the account, and we'll just start it at $100. Now, banks pay interest, or in a savings account pays interest, not much these days, but it still pays some amount of interest on the money that's in the account. So we'll go ahead and say that this is the interest, which is money paid on the account over time, and the interest is dependent upon something called interest rate, and we'll go look for some a symbol for percent is one. Open a new tab, copy the image URL, and then go ahead and add that to the displayed image and move the label to the bottom, and that's supposed to be interest rate. And so the interest that's paid periodically is a function of the interest rate, so we need a link to communicate this to the interest, and we need to communicate the amount of money that's in the account to the interest. But this is a little hard to read, so we'll hold the shift key and we'll put a couple of nubs on there, nodes, so that we can actually move that around, and then we'll tell it that the interest is the amount of money that's in the savings account times the interest rate. Now, what is the interest rate? Well, we haven't defined that yet, but we'll define it with a slider and say that varies anywhere from 0 to 0.1%. I don't know where you're going to get 10% these days on a savings account, but we'll go ahead and do that anyway, and we'll currently set it at 0.022%. So we've got $100 that we put in the bank and an interest rate of 2%. The two of them interact to create an interest, and the interest is added to the savings account on an ongoing basis. So we'll look at this as 10 years. It'll increment in years, and we'll step it 1 year at a time, meaning that the assumption is that the interest is added to the savings account at the end of each year. And we'll save this, and we'll call this savings account part 1. So we'll go ahead and run this, and it'll tell us that over that 10-year period, the interest increases from or the amount of money in the account increases from 100 to $121. Over 10 years? Well, that's pretty dismal, isn't it? Though in most instances, savings accounts don't pay interest on an annual basis. They do it on a monthly basis. And in the next video, we'll go ahead and modify this so it does it on a monthly basis. Though before I move to that, it would be good if I actually went down and set this so that I told it that the money in the account was actually in dollars. Where is it? Where is it? I lost it. Oh, there's money, dollars. And the interest rate I'll leave as a undefined, and the interest we'll say is dollars per year. Dollars per year. Though we're back to the same thing that we had before in terms of this undefined multiplied by dollars simply provides dollars, but interest is in a dollars per year unit, so that we need to get the units to come out right. So we'll add another variable and call it time and set it equal to 1 and define the units as simply years. After a while you get to know where these are, and that still hasn't happened. So this the time, which is in years. I go ahead and connect that to the interest, and what I now have is, in the formula, and say that divided by time. So I have dollars times the unit list, which is dollars, divided by time, and I have dollars per year. And the model still runs okay. It's supposed to run okay. So one more portion of this is that where I talked in the bathtub about the structure creating a balancing structure, this in fact creates a reinforcing structure where the savings account, as the savings account increases, the interest increases, so that this is actually increasing, and this interest actually increases the savings account, so this is increasing also. And as a result, this creates what's referred to as a reinforcing loop, only it goes in the other direction. And we'll then go ahead and put this in here. So we have a reinforcing loop, because if we look at the influences around the loop, there are no negative or balancing influences. They're all positive, so when I count the negatives around here, it's 0, and therefore this is a reinforcing loop. And reinforcing loops present a characteristic of growth, and growth is what we call an emergent characteristic of the structure, because nowhere in the structure do any of the individual components demonstrate the character of growth, though the components, when connected together, the relationships result in a structure which exhibits a characteristic of growth, and therefore it's called an emergent characteristic of the structure. And we'll continue this in the next video.